Hello, everybody, and welcome back to NHL 2K6. We're here through, I guess, technically the middle of January. We're kind of towards the back end of it. We had a 3-game win streak that was snapped by the leader in our division, the Red Wings, once again ruining our day after kind of a muddy start to the beginning of the month, losing to San Jose, Phoenix, and Pittsburgh, all teams in the playoff mix here in the Western Conference. As I said at the end of the last video, that this month would pretty much just be populated predominantly by playoff teams, and St. Louis, today's opponent, is no different. They are a team that's kind of in the hunt. I think at the time of recording this portion of the video, they are, I think, in the 8 or 9 or 10 spot in the West, like they're just outside. But all the bottom half playoff teams in the Western Conference are pretty much separated by a single point. So it's a tight race at the top, if you will. So we're going to try and pick up a win here against the Blues. But already on the attack is St. Louis, and a quick pass in front of the net is going to end up behind Denise. So just two guys bringing it down on the attack here, and that's Paul Kariya. Paul Kariya netting a goal here on Mark Denise. Paul Kariya was the one who brought it down, and, I mean, look at that. Mark Denise had a very clear vision of the shot here. I mean, maybe you could argue there was some obstruction there on that tangle in front of the net, but I don't know. I mean, that was a weak shot, too, from the circle. I don't know. That's a bad one to let in. Mark Denise is rightfully upset about that, because that's a pretty terrible one to let in. So, but we are going to try and answer back here on the attack, and it's another quick pass, and that's going to net another goal. The first goal. So Jeff Sanderson. I thought it was Sanderson. I don't want to start calling out names and then just be wrong. So, but yeah, it was Castles who had the puck. I thought Castles was going to take the shot, but he just sends it back across to Sanderson, and that one's into the net. So we finally answer back to the Blues here, and we might have ourselves a high-scoring game here if we can just keep scoring as quickly here as the Blues. But I would love for us to just play tighter defense and that not be an issue. But St. Louis once again on the attack here later on in the first period, kind of with it in the own end. And again, wacky camera angles on the part of NHL 2K6 is going to make this one kind of hard to follow. And right in front of Jeff Sanderson's face, this shot gets off. I don't know how. I mean, just staring at him. Look at this. No defense to speak of. Absolutely nothing. Just staring right at him. Yeah, okay, there you go. Go for the push after the shot's already been taken. Yeah, just ridiculous. So that's going to do it for the end of the first period. The Blues are going to take a 1-goal lead into the locker room for the first intermission, but there's still plenty of hockey left to play, plenty of time. But early on, right off the face-off here in the second period, once again, another pretty terrible camera angle, but the Blues are going to score again. This time it's Doug Waite, the assistant captain here, who gets the pass from pretty much behind the net, an awkward place to receive the pass, but Doug Waite is in perfect positioning. Mark Denise had just zero idea that Doug Waite was even there, that there was even a shot going to be attempted. Following the puck, but yeah, just about a good second late on attempting to make a save here. So not great here, not our best defensive performance here. But later on in the period, about halfway through the period, Jeff Sanderson again is going to take a very awkward shot from the side of the net. And I don't know what on earth the St. Louis' goalie was doing, trying to go for just a full split there up against the post. Very, very odd. But Jeff Sanderson gets his second goal of the game, as he is currently providing pretty much the only offense to speak of in this game. That's a very, very awkward shot, man. I don't know how our goalies are really just kind of letting these ones go in. That got behind the blocker. I thought that maybe went through his legs. It went behind the blocker. So that angle, you probably won't score another one like that. So Jeff Sanderson should get that puck, because I don't think he'll score another goal like that. So we still managed to maintain the 1-goal deficit, but we need to try and erase it here in the third period. St. Louis already on the attack, and a loose puck is retrieved and fired on the net. And St. Louis, that's going to be Doug Waite again, getting his second goal after this one was loose here, and I think that's Teppo Numminen who gave that one up in her own end, and a quick pass from Drake to Doug Waite for another goal. So yeah, I mean, just catches the loose puck, catches a shot. Honestly, I think that was a shot that was taken that Numminen just grabbed out of thin air and put back on the ice, and then yeah, Doug Waite just in perfect position. Mark Denise, zero answer for that shot, unfortunately. So now the Blues are going to take another 2-goal lead here, but later on in the period, Jackets down on the attack. Sanderson's going to pass it to Verborny, and that one's going to go into the back of the net. So the Jackets are going to score yet again another goal. So this one is now going firmly back and forth We're not going to get any replay on that one for some reason, apparently. But St. Louis is going to answer back within just a couple minutes, man. And it's Tkachuk, man. Keith Tkachuk. We're well familiar. If you watch hockey today, you're well familiar with the name. So Keith Tkachuk nets home St. Louis's 5th goal of the game, man. This one has just been a crazy back-and-forth exchange. Mark Denise really not having the best of games, if we could be completely honest here. I know we haven't seen the shot breakdown here between both teams, but regardless, letting in some of those goals is just inexcusable. And again, now St. Louis on the attack again with just a minute left, and it's Drake who's had a couple assists in this game, and he's finally going to get his own goal in this game here. That's what? It's got to be like a 3-point night for him, as he kept trying to attack Mark Denise. Mark Denise was standing firm on that post, but on the wraparound, just nowhere near the speed, I guess, to stop that one. I don't know. It's hard to watch some of these goals from Mark Denise, man, because they're just bad, but I know because of the sim and everything, that's got to be largely to blame for that. So that is going to end this game here, 6-3. We are going to take the L, unfortunately. So, and then we're going to look over, I guess, the 3 stars. I normally cut out the 3 stars, but I left them in, so here, why not? We'll look at them. And, of course, Dallas Drake and Keith Tkachuk here. And then if Doug Waite's probably going to be the first star, of course, because, of course. A 3-point night for Doug Waite. You can't be too shocked. So St. Louis comes all the way to Columbus, and they kind of hose us here. They kind of embarrass us here a little bit. And look at the shot totals, man. We absolutely fired St. Louis, but their goaltending was just a lot stronger than ours was. I can't be super shocked about that. And then only 18 saves from Mark Denise. Not a great night for him either. St. Louis with a ton of one-timers, ton of opportunities, just not great. So with that, we're going to head back into the hub world and get over the rest of January. Okay, we are back in our hub now. In the calendar section, and things have not gone well in the month of January. The team has struggled quite a bit. We've accumulated quite a bit of losses over the course of this month. We were talking in the last video about maybe potentially seeing where we would land after a tough month like January, and that might kind of set the course for what kind of season we plan to have going up forward. And it seems like our answer has been made for us. So we end the month with a 3-game losing streak here at the hands of Vancouver, Minnesota, and Nashville. The only win that we would pick up in the last couple weeks of the month here is against Nashville on the previous Saturday. And then, of course, we would also beat the Rangers on that Monday. Picking up losses everywhere in between. So we did have a 3-game winning streak at some point in this month here over the Rangers, Lightning, and Panthers. But it's been pretty much all bad outside of that. So we're going to finish the month of January at 22, 26, 1, and 3, which I would imagine in the West is probably still going to have us somewhere towards the bottom. So considering that, that might kind of cement just exactly what kind of season we're going to have, as I just said. So I've been getting nothing but AI trades left and right for some of our players. I think I even got one from the Islanders, and they wanted to give me McGinnis, the defenseman, in exchange for Verborny, another defenseman from us, and a 4th rounder. I mean, just if that's what the CPU wants to cook up, then I'll see if I can go in there and maybe find some stuff that I think is actually probably going to work. I'm at a disadvantage because I don't fully understand how potential and prospects work in this game. I'm not sure, how to properly evaluate a young player who's sitting at like a low 70 overall, but they're like 22 years old. So I might not be able to swing the best prospect deals out of that. But if we can, I guess, offload some talent, I don't know, because I still feel like our team has enough talent, at least at the front end, to be pretty good. We just don't have anywhere near enough depth, either on our forward core or on the blue line. So considering that, it's just going to be hard to keep building the team. So looking over the stats of our team, Therian Fleury is still leading the charge in terms of points here. 22 goals and 21 assists. Man, he's having himself a great season. So once again, that free agent presence that I was really kind of hoping to get from Thierry Fleury is exactly what we're getting. That's exactly why I brought him in, kind of be that veteran to kind of lead the charge and lead the offense, and that's exactly what he's doing. So I'm happy to see that. He's also been healthy, which is another important thing. Todd Marchand, second on the team in points. And remember, Rick Nash suffered an injury, so we knew he would kind of slip a bit, and the production would have to be kind of carried by the rest of the team here. And I think they did decently enough, but we got Todd Marchand here really leading in assists, really at 29. He's probably going to lead the team in assists, I would imagine. Andrew Castle's probably got a little bit more time here because of the Nash injury, but he's third on the team in points at 36. Only 8 goals to speak of, though. But again, another center here, so it looks like our centers are doing their job, to say the least. And then Rick Nash down here at 33 points, missing probably about half of the month. So and then David Verborny's behind him at 29. We got 2 guys at 29. Teppo Numminen, another free agent acquisition here, is all the way down at 6th in points. So 2 of the guys that we brought in to make this team a little bit better are 2 of its top contributors. So I'm happy about that because it at least makes me look better. But the fact that the rest of the team really isn't performing well enough to kind of support this amount of scoring at the top is upsetting, to say the least. So, like Jeff Sanderson, I probably would like a little bit more from Jeff Sanderson for sure, and then Nikolai Zerdev. So, again, the depth that we're talking about, there's really just not a ton of depth, especially on the wings here, to really kind of power this team. Like the fact that Trevor Letowski here has yet to find the back of the net here, but he's got 12 assists. It's a good thing, but we really need you to start scoring some goals, buddy. So, so it kind of just falls off from here. But we got a few 30-plus pointers. I wonder how many we'll get over 50 and over 60. I'm really curious. I'd like to see where the ceiling for Thierry Fleury is. I wish it would show me. Okay, cool. I was curious if it was going to show me previous years, because I would like to see the point highs for Thierry Fleury. So it looks like back in 01-02 with the Rangers, he had over 60 points, and then before that he had over 70 points, which seems to be around, or no, he did have some better years in his prime in the early 90s. He had some much better years. So obviously we could probably not expect the 92 and 90 Thierry Fleury to reappear here, but maybe it's possible to expect the 96, 98, or 99 Thierry Fleury to come out. I don't know if 70 points is on the table for Thierry Fleury, but we do have him for a few years, if you can see his contract at the bottom. So if he can really kind of power that up, and keep this production going. I mean, he's 37, so it'll probably continue to go down. He might get injured a little bit more, so I just wanted him to be that veteran presence while the rest of this team got a little bit better, which might still be in the process. Hold on, we forgot to look at Mark Denise, the guy. All right, so here's our goalie tandem. Things are still looking at least pretty solid. Mark Denise obviously still carrying a brunt of the load here in net. That goals against average is still pretty low, where I like it there, kind of in the mid-2s. Save percentage has gone down a bit here. It's trending towards 90. Audrey Irbe is about in the same place as well, even though he hasn't started nearly as many games in net. So that sample size is a little bit smaller, but Mark Denise is about as good for a team like this as I would imagine. I think probably his numbers would improve drastically if our defense was a lot better. So that's kind of where I would land with that. But we're going to look at team standings before we get right on out of here. So the Coyotes, if you can believe it, the Phoenix Coyotes are currently holding the number 1 spot in the Western Conference by just a point over the Minnesota Wild. And then the Red Wings are here at 3rd, just a few points behind. The Dallas Stars are 4th, Vancouver's 5th. The Blues, who we spotlighted in this video, are now firmly in the playoff picture. I think they were in that 9 or 10 spot when we started that video, but now the Blues are firmly in the playoff picture with the Mighty Ducks behind them, and then the Sharks holding that last spot with the Kings and Flames and Blackhawks kind of on the outside here, really all the way down to Colorado. It's still kind of on the table there because 55 is the magic number here, and you got the Kings and Flames who are sitting at 55 currently, and then you have the Blackhawks, Predators, and Avalanche, all just a point off of that. So this is probably going to be a bloodbath to the very end. I can't imagine any of these teams that are currently in the picture here are going to pull away. So it'll probably just literally be whoever wins last is going to be in the playoff picture. The only teams I think are probably in a safe spot. I mean, I don't know. It's only 10 points that separates the Coyotes from the Kings. So, anything could really happen. We're, I guess, the only team that's kind of out of it because we're only 7 points out, I guess. So I guess if we had ourselves a good month, then maybe we could even be in it. But we're not picking up a lot of points where we need to. It's really just a lot of regulation wins and losses, and that's not going to help you in a situation like this where every point really matters. So I know in the East it's probably a much different scenario. So the Tampa Bay Lightning are taking the top spot here by a wide margin. They are ahead of New Jersey in the second spot by 9 points. So the Lightning are firmly making their case for at least a President's Cup, probably, on the President's Trophy here. And then the Devils at 2, which, again, the Devils have themselves a 12-point lead over third place. So the Eastern Conference is incredibly top-loaded as the Devils and the Lightning are kind of in a class of their own. On their own. You know what I mean? The Devils aren't in the Lightning's class, and the Lightning aren't in the Devils' class, but they are definitely not in the class of everyone below them. So, for some reason, Boston here, or I guess maybe, is that what the thing is? Is it doing divisions? Is that it? Does that make sense? I didn't think they would do it like that. Yeah, are they doing divisions? Okay. I always thought that the playoff format, at least back in these days, was just 1 through 8. But maybe the top 3 seeds here are divisions. Is that how this works? We got Phoenix, Minnesota, Detroit. Yeah, so I guess the top 3 are your division leaders. I guess interesting. But Boston is here in that third spot, and then the Islanders. And then the Penguins. Jeez, I was blanking on the Penguins. And the Penguins are below them here, just a couple points off each other, and over Philly, the Flyers, by 3 points. And then the last 2 spots are held by the Thrashers, who were a lot higher earlier. The Thrashers are struggling now. And then the Maple Leafs are holding that last and final spot. So the Capitals are just on the outside here, off by a couple points. They were the team that we first beat, our first game of the season. And they're sitting on the outside. And then the Sabres and the Panthers are just a couple points off as well. But it does kind of start to fall off. It kind of once we get to that Montreal, Carolina level, it kind of looks like it might be unattainable here. It's only 5 points, but I guess considering divisional races here, it probably is a little bit more insurmountable as we look across our divisions very briefly. I guess we'll look at our own division as we sit currently at the bottom of the Central. I think we were second a couple months ago. Now we are firmly at the bottom by a good little bit here. All these teams that are in our division right now are in some sort of playoff positioning. So Detroit is like third. They're the 3rd seed in the West right now. St. Louis, I think, is like the 5th. And then Chicago and Nashville are both in the hunt. So we're the only team that's really just kind of out of it. So that means that moving ahead, we might be looking to do something pretty drastic to the roster. I don't want to sell, because like I said, I think we have a good core here. We just need to continue to build it and add depth to it. And I think addition of depth is a lot easier than trying to build an entire freaking team. So that's probably what we'll look to do. And a lot of these AI trades I might just continue to ignore, but there might be some moves that need to be made. Who knows? But we will get through February. There's not a lot going on in February because of the All-Star break, so it should be a rather short video. Hopefully, I do love to ramble in these talking sections. So we do have Calgary, the Flames, on the road to start off February, and then we head to Edmonton to take on the Oilers, and then we finish our road trip in Vancouver with the Canucks, again, a team that's given us a lot of fits, and then we return home for a brief period to play the Kings and the Avalanche before taking to the road to play another division game against the Predators again before the All-Star break. And geez, man, what an All-Star break it is. Like 2 weeks, 2 weeks off for the All-Star break? That's crazy. I'm curious if we'll have an All-Star. It could be Thierry Fleury. He might be our All-Star. Who knows? But yeah, so that's going to do it for the month of February, or for the month of January, rather, a recap of January. But February is just going to be these 6 games right here. And so hopefully in the next video we'll be able to cover that pretty quickly, and we'll move on into March, which should be a big month here, as it's a lot of teams' playoff pushes, their final big push towards April. And then, of course, we have the deadline on the 9th, as it's been plastered in the calendar. So we might need to be pretty active there, maybe doing something. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video here. I'm not sure which game we will be highlighting. Probably this last game against the Predators, since it's a division game. That might make sense. I don't know. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video for February.